Okay, I got what is probably about $10 away from being the most affordable Neopixel you can get. This is the Imperial Workshop Vega. I just got this one recently, and the reason why I say it is about $10 away from being the most affordable Neopixel you can get, Imperial Workshop offers one that is $10 cheaper. That one is the cheapest one that I can find from any company for a Neopixel, and this one's $10 more. $170. It's called the Vega, and it's a $170 Neopixel. I mean, I thought I was doing pretty good with the Imperial Workshop Arc, which is $240. Granted, this one does have an exposed kyber crystal, and it's a little bit bigger, so that kind of makes sense why it is more money between the kyber crystal, machine costs, etc. I think I just spun it by accident. Ignore that. So at $240 for that one, that's a great option with the exposed kyber crystal. But what if you don't want an exposed kyber crystal? Or what if you're trying to stay sub 200? The Vega. This thing is it's awesome. It's got all the same sound fonts that come on the Arc. The build quality is the same general build quality. The weight is about the same weight. It's actually a little bit smoother for swinging, which I'm going to put in a blade in a moment. A little bit smoother for swinging because you don't have a big giant chunk of the hilt is cut out for the exposed kyber crystal, so it's just smooth all around. And there's this nice little area right around here that, although it's not as big as, say, my Aaron that I have, your fingers do kind of like sit in there, and it's just a nice little spot to grab it when you're spinning. But enough talk about it without a blade in it. Let's put a blade in. All right, so I got the blade in. Let's see what a $170 Neopixel looks like. It's a Neopixel. I mean, what else do you expect? Super bright, really good smooth swing, just a little bit of swing. I was a little worried when I was ordering this one if I was going to be losing some of the quality that I got from the Arc, which granted it's not a whole lot more money, but it is a little bit more, and $170 is pretty cheap for Neopixel. So I was kind of worried that maybe the $170 Neopixel, so you're kind of losing some of the quality. And I don't really feel that. It kind of just does exactly what I would expect a more expensive Neopixel to do. And you have gesture controls. I just spun it like I accidentally did on my Arc a moment ago, and it worked. It's just awesome. Just in case this is your first time seeing a video about an Imperial Workshop blade and you're not familiar with some of the sound fonts, let's check out some of the sound fonts. They are all different. They have different sounds, different lights, different effects. Check some out. This one is Luke Skywalker. It just kind of works the way you would expect an expensive one to work, which I was really surprised by. I already mentioned I was really expecting the quality to be a little bit lower, and it's just not. Gesture controls work smooth and fluid and everything, but let's check out some of the other sound fonts while we're at it.
Codex of Light.
Not familiar with this one. I remember the name, but I don't remember what it looks like. Let's check it out. I mean, come on, you get cool ignitions like that. And this one's got a really cool tone to it as well. It's got this kind of like soft tone, like listen to this. It's got this really kind of soft tone, but it's just cool. Cool kind of like a flicker to it. Not quite like an unstable blade, but I don't know, something different. Gesture controls work just how they should. Okay, I want to check out one more sound font.
Cyber Terror.
This one. And then I'm going to show you something really cool about this blade. Alright, that's cool. That's a really mean sound too. Woo! I like that sound. Interesting way of turning off. Pretty cool though. I lied. I said let's check out one more. Let's check out one more. But I'm going to find a very specific one, and I'll show you that one.
Cunning warrior.
You were the chosen one!
And he was a good friend.
You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you!
Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is probably my favorite font on here. It's nothing super special, but it's just classic Obi-Wan Kenobi. It looks great, it sounds great, I just love this one. Let's check this one out. And it's the classic lightsaber blue. And the tone is kind of the classic, traditional, original Star Wars lightsaber tone. It just got this really gentle hum. It's not overpowering. is just awesome. I just love this font. I do turn it off when I'm talking because they're a little loud over me talking, so not to talk over it. But this is one of my favorite fonts. But you get all those fonts on here, just really cool. One thing to note though, if you are new to Imperial Workshop and you're thinking about picking one of these up, let's say you like a font and you're not quite familiar, or you're not quite sure how to change the color, but you like the font, super easy. You turn it on, hold it upside down, hold the ignition button and spin it really quick.
Color change active.
We've now selected our color. Now hold it sideways. Find whatever color we want. I will be eventually turning this back to traditional blue because for Obi-Wan I need to. I just feel like it's mandatory. Well, let's select this for now. Hold the button.
Selected.
Hold the button again, and now we got the color. Now if we turn it off and then I turn it back on, it's still that same color. It's that easy to change the color on one of the Imperial Workshop blades. So if you find a font that you like, but you want a different color, it's that easy. And when you put this in deep sleep mode, actually turn it off, it memorizes what color you want. So pretty useful. With that being said, I need to go back to blue for this one before I forget, because it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, it has to be blue. So, one more time, upside down, hold the button, spin it really quick. And now, go sideways, find what color you want. Let's find that right shade of blue. I'm gonna say right there.
Color selected.
Boom, now I have it back to how it's supposed to be. Just really cool. One other thing to note about the hilt, let me turn it off real quick. One thing to note about the hilt, sorry, I was about to show something about the hilt, and then somebody called me and my phone stopped filming. So anyways, something cool about the hilt, you will notice right above the ignition button, you have a little USB-C port. That's where you plug it in. Super, super simple and easy to plug it in. They do recommend that you use their adapter, which comes with it, that we don't overpower it and ruin it. But any USB-C cable will work, so that's pretty cool and convenient. Okay, so I was talking about a really cool feature about this one, but then I kind of got carried away with the fonts. Let me show the really cool feature, okay? All right, let's say you have this lightsaber from Imperial Workshop, all right? Let's say you also have this lightsaber from Imperial Workshop. Can you kind of get where I'm going with this? So let's start by taking off this hilt. And you'll notice that you have threads going this direction, all right? Now let's take off this pommel. Did I say pommel in the last one? Whatever it is, pommel on this one as well. Now you'll have threads in this hilt going this direction. Can you kind of get where I'm going with this? Okay, you really should get where I'm going with this by now. If you don't, why does it not want to thread? There we go. I could not get it to catch. There we go. I didn't mean to do that. I must have spun it a little bit while I was doing that. Apologize for that ear screeching sound. Yes, if you have these two lightsabers, they will actually screw together. And they will create a double-bladed lightsaber, a lightsaber staff, two-bladed lightsaber. I've heard all kinds of different names, whichever you want to call it. Well, if you have these, it's yours, and you can call it whatever you want as far as I'm concerned. And one thing that everybody could probably agree with is that it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Double-bladed Neopixel lightsaber. But I feel like we have to put the blade in now, right? Like, why would we do all this without putting in the blade in? Let's put the blade in. All right, so I got both blades in both hilts, and the only thing left to do now is turn it on. How cool is that? How can you not like that? I don't really have that much room in here. As I've already said before, my room's pretty small. I have a hard time swinging one lightsaber, let alone something like this. So I really can't spin it in here. But yeah, I mean, come on, that's just cool, right? I just don't have any room in here, I'm sorry. One thing to note though, the speaker on both of them is in the hilt facing the pommel. So because we have both of them attached like this, the speakers are facing each other, you lose a little bit of volume. Not terrible, you can still hear it. I'll try and spin it closer to the phone. You can still hear it, but you do lose a little bit of volume. It's not terrible though, gets the job done. think that's as much spinning as I can do with this in here. But I mean, come on, how cool is that? You got two of these, put them together, boom, here you go. Let's take it apart for now though. Oh, also, by the way, when you press the buttons for these, it only activates that one. So if you want to turn it off, you do have to press both. Same thing for turning it on. Not a big deal, but just something to note. When you connect it, it doesn't connect any of the electronics. It's just the physical hilts are now connected. Still pretty cool though. Then once you take it apart, you put your pommel back on. Now you're back to just a regular lightsaber. It only takes like 20 seconds to do as well, which is pretty cool. And once you're back into the normal lightsaber mode, you got a lightsaber. I mean, come on, how cool is that? $170 Neopixel. Now granted, you have to have both in order to do a staff, and that's not for everybody, but even just this by itself, $170 for a Neopixel. I mean, come on. That's just cool. But yeah, if you're looking for a Neopixel for under $200, if you already have another Imperial workshop, now granted, not all Imperial workshops do work together like that. Some you have to get a coupler. These two just happen to be reverse thread, so it works. But if you do already have one and you want to do a staff, you can do that. Maybe you already have that kind of threading, maybe get a coupler, doesn't matter, you can do it. Or maybe you're just on a really tight budget and you don't want to buy a cheap RGB in-hilt one, $170. If you're at $100, just save up a little bit more. Trust me, it's worth it. It's really worth it. It's a Neopixel for 170. I know it's at 170 like 170 times, so I'm going to stop saying that. And actually, I think that's probably a good spot to wrap up the video. So, peace.